flyer, and I thought she was the more interesting of the two Bowie runners. She'd had 3 very quick runs in 17 days, was well backed on her nursery debut at Nottingham, a day where, despite quick ground, the times were very slow and the horses were struggling to make all from the front, and she tired quite dramatically in the final furlong, and soft ground at Fosslas was no good to her last time. She's quite a stocky filly. She's only got 8 stone 8. David Egan takes over from £5 claimers, and perhaps she might show a little bit more in what's an open contest for the first race here at Kempton.
Those are the 7 runners for our opener at Kempton Park. This nursery over 6 furlongs, and Queen's Eye is the 5-2 favourite. Galore is 11-4, 100-30. Carry On H, that's just clipped in from 7-2. Bojink is 11-2, clipped in from 6s. It's 9-1 Menaleep. Cloud Flyer is 18s, and Rowdown Roza is the outsider, and the big outsider actually 33-1. 7 going in an open-looking nursery. Sam, Queen's Eye. Let's discuss the favourite first of all. Do you take the view that she threw it away at Fosslas last time, or?
Well, I mean, you know, he was certainly one of the last off the bridle.
Yeah.
Travelled quite nicely in rear, then the gap appeared. Georgia took it, and then whether it was a wide open expanse of Fosslas or not, but he just dived to his left, and he's entitled to be a little bit inexperienced. It was just his 4th start, and the 3 previous ones were to qualify for handicap, so it was probably the first time that he was ever asked to do anything and hit the front, and if he hadn't drifted left, then he probably would have won and be racing under a penalty here. The major concern, perhaps, is that it's a step back to 6, but he showed enough latent speed, I thought, at Fosslas, and enough ability, and just some of these look very poor. It just looks a really good opportunity for him. He's a little uneasy in the market, which would be perhaps a shade off-putting. Maybe people feel that he might just get a bit too far behind, but Connections have wisely snapped up Harry Davis. The Ed Dunlop team have been pretty good, Nick, for most of the summer, really. They've had their peaks and troughs, but they've done very well this year as a rule. And you know, he's taken on 6 fillies here. Bizarrely, he's the only gelding, the only male in the field, and providing he doesn't repeat his antics of Fosslas and start hanging towards the standside rail, he ought to give another good account, really. Yeah,
Ed Dunlop, 39 winners already this year, going pretty well, around about the 12% clip for the yard. Galore was last in the super sprint.
Yeah.
And then, but better, much better in lesser company at Leicester.
Yeah, I think the winner's been beaten since, but that was a fair enough effort. She came home fairly strongly. I think this is what she is. I think she's, you know, probably a mid-60 filly. I'm not sure she's going to leave this miles behind. She didn't look to have tons of scope just watching the tape back at Leicester, but you know, she'll do a job at this level, you would think. There was good money for her this morning. It's a bit early to write her off just yet, and she's all speed, so this sort of test should suit her ideally, and maybe, you know, stepping up to 6 on a flatter track. I wouldn't say she went through the line strongly at Leicester. Okay. The 3rd and 4th were closing on her a little bit, so maybe that's the upper end of her stamina at the moment, but 6 round Kempton with a decent pace to aim at should be ideal.
Yeah, okay. Carry On H is 3rd in, well berthed in stall 1. 4th at Leicester last time.
Yes.
Relatively modest form, really. I mean, they've stuck the blinkers on today, haven't they?
Yes, and Neil Callan as well. Obviously a good jockey booking round Kempton. I think the step back in trip as well. I was doing that day with Stuart and spoke to the trainer afterwards, and I think the feedback was that she patently didn't get home. This looks a perfect test for a really 6 round here. She got left behind a little bit at Lingfield earlier on in her career over a similar trip, but I think Kempton should play to her strengths a little bit more. Obviously Neil Callan, good booking, fresh from his Shergar Cup exploits, and enjoying a good season, getting himself going again after that spell in Hong Kong. And I think Carry On H is definitely capable of winning off 61. Whether today's the day or not, I don't know, but it'd just be interesting to see how she reacts to the blinkers. Yeah,
fair to say no strong view at all here, really.
Yeah, I think Queen's Eye has got the most ability of this field.
Yeah.
And having backed Carry On H last time, I'm sure she'll probably zip up here by 5 lengths. I'm not on today, but yeah, it'd be a watching brief for me. It's a modest start to the card, isn't it?
It is. It is a modest start. So let's get James' final thoughts as they begin to load.
Thank you. Yeah, all 7 are pretty small, compact sorts that would have been early 2-year-olds at their peak, and none of them have particularly progressed since they went into nurseries, apart from this one in front of us, Queen's Eye. Despite being the only gelding in the field, he doesn't actually look much bigger than the 6 fillies in opposition. Big plus is Harry Davis's £5 claim, but I just thought I'll stick with Cloudfly, a little bit of each-way money around about 14-1, just because she was expected to do better off the basement mark, and the first attempt in particular at Nottingham in the race, and the track just didn't play to her strengths, and back on Neil Webber, might just see a little bit more, but it won't take a great deal of winning. If Queen's Eye can cope with dropping back in trip, should go very close for Ed Dunlop and Harry Davis. Let's go and join the commentator.
Thanks, James. Last one out to come in. Good afternoon, everybody. Rowdown Roza moving up now. Rowdown Roza going in to complete the lineup. Set to go. And they're off. Racing away, 6 furlongs a journey for the Unibet Horse Race Betting Operator of the Year Nursery Handicap Stakes. And in blinkers on first time, Carry On H was swiftly away. Will lead from Menaleep in second, in yellow and black with a white cap. Queen's 8 wider out with that big white face towards the inside, Cloud Flyer in the black and white. Just in behind those, Rowdown, Roza in the green and yellow, followed by the blue and white of Galore. The back marker in white and black is Bojink, and they're soon towards the bend, back towards halfway. It's just out in front, Carry On H by only a head now, nearly joined for the lead by Menaleep. Length and a half in behind is Queen's 8. Against a running run is Cloud Flyer. 5th on the turn for home is Rowdown, Roza. Then came Galore, and the back marker is the nudged along Bojink. It's Carry On H who has the advantage at the cutaway. Shows by a length and a half to Menaleep, who's ridden along in second. Cloud Flyer being asked some more to the inside. Then Rowdown, Roza. Galore is trying to finish in the blue and white. They're racing on towards the final furlong. Carry On H is out in front, but about to be joined by both Menaleep and Galore. Rowdown, Roza's coming home as well. Queen's 8 widest of all, but it's Galore under Sean Levy who leads up, approaching the line. Rowdown, Roza throwing down a very late challenge. Galore and Rowdown, Roza. Galore just in front from Rowdown, Roza. Then Menaleep and Queen's 8 away from Cloud Flyer, and then Carry On H and Bojink.
Galore wins our opener here at Kempton for Sean Levy. Richard Hannon and owners JK Power Racing, and she wins at the 5th attempt. Sticking her neck out pretty gamely, stepping back up to 6 furlongs. Second at Leicester on nursery debut. She goes one better this afternoon. Much better from number 6, Rowdown, Roza, who finished the second on her second handicap, and they pulled well clear of the rest. The disappointment certainly Queen's Eye, who looked uncomfortable around the tight bend over 6 furlongs here. And you can see on the wide outside under Harry Davis, gave away a lot of ground, and that certainly didn't help his chances, dropping back to 6 furlongs. But the pace was strong enough. These 3 fillies in front weren't particularly picking up that quickly entering the straight, and Galore just squeezes through a gap in between Menaleep and Rowdown, Roza, and that certainly made a difference as the Charm Spirit filly back in second, and the Charlie Bennett didn't pick up quite quick enough to claim Galore, who always looked like she was going to hold on. Back in third in the blinkers, I think might have been Menaleep, as Queen's Eye up just didn't stay on strong enough for 4th place. We'll go and join Angus and Sam back in the studio.
Yeah, thanks very much, James. Yeah, interesting race with Galore winning and backing up what was a reasonable effort at Leicester last time. A big run from Rowdown, Roza, the outsider of the party. Last show was a 33-1 shot, and Menaleep back in third under Taylor Fisher. Quite a tight bunch finish. The favourite, Queen's Eye, disappointing, lugging left throughout. What did you make of it, Sam?
Yeah, it's modest fare, wasn't it, as we thought going into the race, really. Obviously, Neil Callan, with his mount in the blinkers, was a little bit lit up early on and paid for that late on. 1 or 2 of them didn't want to drop their heads, 1 or 2 of them didn't want to tuck in, really, and Queen's Eye probably lost his chance into the first couple of bends where he raced very wide, didn't get any cover, and then he's plugged on again in the straight. I think the 6 round Kempton, probably not the ideal test for him, really. He might find a little race over 7 somewhere else, I think, and probably Foss or a straight track might suit him a little better. Another big run from an Usher horse at a big price.
Yeah.
They're invariably a very good stable just to keep your eye on if you want to back horses at big prices, and these are weather handicaps. And a good win, a good ride from the winner as well. Sean Levy's just managed to burrow his way through a couple of horses, just had a little bit more latent toe than the runner-up, and nicked that length, which proved ultimately very decisive.
Yeah, Queen's Eye, I mean, I know he was wide throughout. He did lug left again, didn't he? You think there might be the odd temperament issue?
He might want some headgear, mightn't he? It might just be that it's his 5th run.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make great excuses for him, but he has at least kept finding all the way to the line there, hasn't he?
He did run through the line.
I think the 6 was just had him on his head a little bit early on. It was a chance worth taking because it was a weak race, and they nearly got away with it. He's only been beaten bits and bobs, hasn't he? So, I'm not sure you'd be sticking him in your notebook, but
I'm not going to put any of them in.
He wouldn't be making the tracker, would he? But
no.
When you have to look at these races day in day out for tips purposes, he might be a horse that you just keep on side for a 0 to 67.